Hey, welcome back to more live game development on Sons of Saul. We're working in Unity. I'm Kevin. Haven't taken a breath. Let's keep going. So hi. What were we doing the last day? We were mostly, it was Thursday, it was 4 days ago, created a mission scenario, kind of, and played it. And that was, you know what, save this scene. I wanted to come back to this scene, but not save it, but I'll save it anyway. But I won't be able to show you this without showing you some of the new stuff anyway. Tell you what, we'll do it out of order and I'll show you what happened since last time instead of what happened last time. I'll describe what happened last time. We were able to go from this scene, click on a mission, and there were two mission options, and just to prove that they could result in different things, they would take us into the empty scene. One of the mission options gave us 3 enemies, the other one gave us 6. Just to prove that that's how we can start creating different types of missions. So just did the simplest possible thing, really, but just so we could progress from the strategy layer into a mission and back out again. So that's what we did. I'm not going to make this part 4 of that, but of the complete game loop series, mini-series, whatever. But we are still going to kind of work around aspects of that for a while. So that's what we were doing last day. I will show it soon. Usually I just say what we did last day and show it. I'll show it in a sec with some other stuff. Since last time, loads of stuff. This is what happens when you work through the weekend and also have other stuff coming up. So I said in the last stream that we would be on Square Enix Collective starting today. So this morning our page went live on the Square Enix Collective. This is for like an indie spotlight that a branch of Square Enix do. They pick a game every week and leave it up for 4 weeks to get yes votes, no votes, and feedback. We went live a few hours ago, so no comments yet, but we're at 100% yes votes so far. Not sure how many people have voted, but I know from Facebook and Twitter a number of people have, and I'll say none of my friends voted no, so thanks. Not sure how much wider than that it's gone already. It's only been a few hours. So I don't know how many strangers have come along because none of them have left comments. I don't think Greenlight gives you a developer dashboard, like how many visits there have been and what the sources of those visits are and things. That reminds me, I could have, should have, and still should connect an analytics account to this page, maybe to see who's coming through, if I can. Better look into that. Let me make a note of that. These notes are usually for development notes, but look into that after the stream. If we can figure out where traffic is coming from. I figure it'll be the same as Greenlight, which would be largely UK and Ireland, America, Germany, Canada. Russia fairly high as well. That was kind of how our Greenlight looked. I think it was mostly from Ireland because that's where I am, and our own friend networks are worth a few hundred people, and then the US was worth the next most people, like almost the same, and they were all like natural visits, or very few of them would be friends. A lot of them would be actual interested visitors who just got shown it on through algorithms and ads and things. And then Canada, not too far behind that. And since we're a space game, as I figured, and Germany is a huge gaming nation anyway, but Germany are big into their space games and adventure games, figured that would be fairly high, and it was. So anyway, Square Enix Collective. We're up for 4 weeks. Do please you will probably have to make an account, but it's quick and easy. Please leave a vote, leave a comment. That would be fantastic. That's one of the since last time things. It's Collective. This 3D technique I was playing with over the weekend. So just as a quick example, this is our cargo transport. It's in the demo. and it's one flat sprite. The containers are a separate sprite, but the bridge area and the stem and the front is a single flat sprite. So I did a horrible chop job on Fred's artwork just to see. Didn't really need him to prototype this, but to make it pretty I would. So I sort of copied out that, then I'll put this over it, and then I took out the circle from that into 3 different sprites. So that anymore. So that on the thing I can move the bridge off it, and I can also move the top bit. Actually, that's probably the bridge, the raised part. But the effect is that there's a bit of height to it now, and I also dropped the containers are already separate. I dropped them down a little bit. So you can see, particularly on the containers, that they're a little lower than the ship, so they'll parallax a bit as we pass by. See the same on the bridge a bit. Very subtle because the camera's far away, but that's the reason this would work as a technique. See, you're getting a bit of ugly overlap there because of my chop job, but just sort of theorizing that if we drew it like this instead of flat and layered the section, that would be, and it just add a bit of depth to the large ships. Particularly like a space station might work pretty well with this because it's meant to be like a skyscraper sort of a thing. What's going on there? That asteroid higher, but the it would be minus 201. It'd just be 0. There is a new in Unity 5.5, 6, maybe? Yeah, 6. A sort of collider group, so you can group the, or no, sorry, sprite sorting layer group, so you can sort that the way we had a minute ago, where these sprites are on the same object, but one of them is passing under this ship and one of them is over it. We could actually just put them, all children go on the same relative to the asteroid, to the parent. So that might be what I want to do there. I'll worry about that in future if it's, because I've never seen that before and I've only thrown these ships in, they're not in normal positions. So I won't worry about that right now. Keep it in mind if I see it again. So that is a little bit of a 3D technique I was playing with. Other stuff. You'll notice, you probably have noticed for weeks and weeks, might have annoyed you, might not. Maybe you have it in your own projects that there were, you know, the yellow warnings here. I can bring up some of them still, because any plugin stuff. Any script in here. A new space into it, so it'll compile Pro Standard Assets folder if there's a change in there, but it won't compile that or the editor folder otherwise. So putting stuff in here that doesn't need to be recompiled a lot, particularly asset store stuff usually, will speed up your compile times. So we were getting warnings like this that, not these ones actually, but that the particle system was using certain deprecated words, like the start lifetime. It says it's deprecated. It still works, but in future versions you won't be able to say the start lifetime. You have to use a min-max curve. And and the same with the color, start color. And whenever you would try to change that, oops, didn't want to close. Okay. Whenever I would try to change it, not you, I would wind up with new errors that I hadn't been doing the min-max curve correctly and stuff. So I tackled that again for like the 4th time. Because usually I just went, it says use this, I'm trying to use it. Now it says don't use that, you're not allowed. Screw it, it works, leave it alone. So I left these warnings in the project for a long time. Finally got rid of them. In fact, I'll show you really. So the health script has smoke and damage particles, so we're affecting. So previously I would have said just smoke dot start lifetime equals, or like multiply by 3 or whatever. Now you have to go get the particle system. Sorry, get the particle system there. Then you have to get a particle system dot min max curve. Give it a name. Tell it that is equal to the particle system dot main dot start lifetime. Then you can modify it. Basically, this line, it says, try storing the variable if you've ever done that. It's been that way with trying to modify vector 2s or vector 3s for as long as I've been using Unity anyway. You have to store the variable and modify it and then reset it, instead of just saying, instead of directly just changing where it is. You have to sort of go through, this is equal to that, change that, and then put it back equal to it. Finally, basically got it right. I don't know what I'd been doing, because I could swear I've written that before, but it didn't work. It always came back in with, no, you're not allowed to modify this directly, try storing it elsewhere. And like, the warnings will let you play, but then in following the warnings, it resulted in full-on errors. It wouldn't compile, so I just always left it after trying. Oh, that's not mine. Okay, that's one of the things. Cleared some of those warnings, so the editor would be clearer. I was working on, one of the things we did last day was we tried to do this active pilots list. Started into it and realized it was going to take a lot more careful, advanced research from me than just launching into it, because I'd create a lot of errors as we're dealing with saving and loading and parsing strings. Like, I'm going to save the whole game's information eventually through, so I'm going to have to have a well thought out system, so I didn't want to just randomly start that on the stream, as it turned out, so we wasted a few minutes with that. So I was working on that a bit over the weekend. I didn't finish it, but I sort of looked into how I might go about refactoring what I had to work in the campaign scene, or whether I would just build the new characters from the new game menu, that kind of thing. Research. Laying the groundwork, preparing the battlefield. You may also remember that in mono develop, for a while I'd just been complaining that I'd said here, comment to me if you if anyone figures it out, but I'd been saying that it was loading up with the view like this instead of this debug view. I usually liked getting, they're all errors now, but the folder directory, like, so I could just open another similar script just from the directory on the side, like a Explorer tab, like that. So I wanted it, but it was always opening in this view. I looked up solutions to it, and it said delete the mono develop folders from your user app data roaming mono develop for Unity. Anyway, from the directory where it saves stuff, so I deleted those. Then came back in, and of course it deleted my custom pads I have custom pads for, like go to do tasks. When you do that, I put in a few custom ones and they were gone, so I had to add them back. But then I also decided, hey, while I'm at this Mono Develop stuff today, I want to change the background. It's a bit too white, so I changed the background. But then there was no way to change the other panels for some reason. You bring up all these panels and then you got a bit of black anymore, and the contrast is actually harder to look at, I think, than having it all white. So I got a bit annoyed at that, and I said, all right, I'm gonna go back to Visual Studio. I've used it before and switched back to Mono because I just didn't like how it was preparing brackets for me and stuff. Like, I like to write them that instead of up here. Damn. Must get used to the shortcuts, but not like that. I don't like to do it like that, and it was preparing it like that. So I just got deeper into Visual Studio and found how to make it sort of do what I want a bit better. That's how I wanted to do it. But the key thing there was when I picked a different color scheme, it colored all the panels, which this is nicer to look at. It's also better for the environment. I don't mean to sound sneery when I say that. I mean, whether you're aware or not, I don't know, but on like Earth Day, I think maybe, Google changed their white background to a dark background to save on energy. It costs less energy to render dark colors than bright colors. So if your screen is on all day with a white screen full of code all day, why not make it a black screen with a little bit of white code? It consumes less power. Simple as. Better on your electricity bill, better for the environment, assuming you're not getting all your energy from a solar panel. It's also just easier to look at. It's easier for the eyes. So that's why I made that change. And then I was like, okay, visual or mono, visual or mono. And I went back to Mono Develop. It had been annoying me. Got this. And I said, fuck it. Don't know where that's coming from. I don't need two different what's the word I want? Script programs. Let's say compilers, I don't mean compilers. Anyway, I don't need to. I'm gonna go back to Mono Develop for a while. We'll see how long it takes to annoy me. A lot of people are sticking with Mono Develop now, so it might be it. Or sorry, with Visual Studio now. So we'll see how long it takes me to go back to Mono, but I have a feeling I won't again. Just because looking into it, there's more I could do with it. More customization. I was trying to customize Mono the way I wanted it, couldn't get it the way I wanted it. Tried to customize Visual Studio, could get it the way I wanted. There's still a few hotkeys that I'm gonna mistype things a few times on stream now, but I'll get used to the new hotkeys a bit. What else? Yeah, oh, sorry, the last thing we've done since the last day. Kinda cool. I made a loading scene. Or started one. So it's not loading anything right now. But got a rotating ship, this bar fills up, and then the ship takes off to the right. So this is why I didn't show it at the start. But now the loading screen will come up in between scenes. So instead of just saying load into the level scene, this launch mission button now loads into the load scene. Does this, loads, continues, finishes. Leave this scene, goes back to loading, and loads up the carrier level. Anyway, thought I had turned off Slack. Yeah, in answer to Steve's question, I don't think so. Or not that I've seen. Wondering how do we see how many votes we've gotten? Not just the percentage yes, no, but how many votes we've gotten on Square Enix Collective. I don't see a way for that yet. I don't think there's a developer login. I think it's just... I think only Square Enix have access to edit the page. I can't like post an update. I can submit an update, but they post it themselves after a day or two. So don't have as much hands-on control as with Greenlight. Anyway, you may notice that this is kind of choppy and then really smooth to the end. I put in like a minimum loading time. It also takes longer to load than it actually needs to. So the way the loading screen was working, and I should actually credit the inventor. Remember who it was. There's a YouTube tutorial on making this loading scene manager. So Martin Neurakar, German, and he made it for his game Nowhere Planet, and made this loading scene. Looks nothing like what I created there, but code looks a lot like this, but I've changed about half of it to do what I want to do. Essentially, he'd load into his one, and the loading scene would be gone before it even started. And what's the point in that? It would take longer the more complicated your scene was, but it only takes as long as it needs and then moves off. Whereas I actually think, in terms of game feel, I actually think it feels better to get a little bit of a loading screen and then move on. So I have a minimum loading time is 3 seconds. At the moment, that's plenty to load on my computer anyway. It's plenty to load up the scene we need, whichever of the two scenes. And so the start is really choppy, and then it just finishes out its 3 seconds pretty smoothly, and then flies off for 1 second for this guy to fly off, and meant to take half a second to fade out, but I didn't notice it fading out. The reason for the minimum loading time is that it should feel like a similar loading time for everybody. So if on my computer it takes half a second to load the next scene, but on my worst laptop it takes 2 seconds, it'll still be a 3 second loading screen. It'll just make the game feel more consistent for everyone, I think. I suppose no individual will actually notice unless they play on 2 different machines. But more games than you might think actually do use a fake loading time, because the loading times are so fast now, especially for sprite-based indie games. It can be really, really quick. But game-wise, you kind of expect a bit of a loading screen, even if the game doesn't need one. So I was just working for a few hours to try and make it a smoother kind of load, like try load asynchronously or let the bar fill up. Basically, the bar fills up over the 3 seconds is meant to be smooth, and it only should chop if the actual load time is less, so it won't show more than it's already loaded, so it won't get to the top and stop. It'll show the current time, like 1.5 seconds into a 3 second bar. This is all totally replaceable. There's going to be an actual loading screen, but don't worry about it for now. It'll show 1.5 seconds into the 3 seconds, unless it hasn't loaded that far yet. So if it's only a quarter loaded, it'll start back here. So it'll go chop, 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 smooth. But a lot of the time it loads fully in 1/2 second, and then it just fills up the rest of the bar over the 3. Anyway, that's what's going on there. What I said we'd do today, we'd possibly do the pilots. There's one thing I want to do first, is a cloud build. So we're actually we're at 25 minutes into this stream. There's a lot of updates, I guess. Right, so Steve is our composer, who I keep mentioning. He's working with a guy named João Gonçalves. I haven't tried to pronounce it out loud for a while, and I got it right when I was with him, and then I asked him, how do you properly say that? He's Portuguese anyway. João Gonçalves. I think I'm right. Sorry if I'm not. Anyway, he has a Mac only. I'm making PC builds. PC doesn't really build for Mac. Even when you set it to build for Mac, it doesn't build anything playable. But he would like a version of the demo for Mac that doesn't have the music in it. So we're going to play through the demo. For one thing, we're on Square Enix Collective today. There might be new people checking it out. They can play the demo themselves, but we're just going to play through it once, maybe twice. I'm going to mute the music though. What he wants is the whole point. And I'm going to build him I'm going to leave out the menus. Just have this scene. And because I'm not certain that the updates I've done haven't broken something in the demo, because I've moved past the demo, I wasn't going to build any more versions, and I'm not going to build any more public versions of the old demo. But Xiao is right, there should be a Mac version with no music of the hear anything? No, or do I? Oh yeah, sorry, it's only music here and I muted the music. So. Yeah, you can hear that. We're gonna play through the demo and see that it all works. If it does, we can do a cloud build. The text is likely to be okay. I won't read too much of it. But what we're doing is looking for this wreck of the ship Endeavour. Here's a tutorial for afterburners. Just get up to speed, and because it's space, you can just float. Don't need to hold it like you would in every other game, every other space game probably. We use mostly real physics. You can't use real physics in a game at all. And the thing we have to do is sort of cap the maximum speed just to make it a dogfighting game. Otherwise you'd zip past each other way too fast to do any meaningful dogfighting. But it does control like asteroids with Newtonian physics. So we're saying there's a wreck. Cargo containers are missing, so it must have been pirates. They need to verify that this is the wreckage of the ship they're looking for. Fly alongside the bridge to read the name off the hull. Got a movement challenge in here. Can't die yet at this point, so it's just getting used to movement demo. It's sort of a tutorial / flavor demo. So we can see incoming. There's a trail coming up from the background. Enemy ship is. Combat focuses around dodging. If I don't dodge, he's gonna hit me. But I do have a dodge move, so. And the blue bars are kind of this situational awareness. I might change them away from being blue, because actually blue implies shields, I think. Like most games just have a green and a blue bar, but blue's nearly always shields, so... In this fiction, it's situational awareness. And it's basically a mechanism so that if you're gonna kill someone, or if you're, well, it doesn't really work on him because I've deliberately turned off his situational awareness, but if you're gonna kill someone, you have to sort of get a few hits in a row. That's basically the idea. You could just snipe away at them and chip away at their health, but the idea is if you're gonna beat the guy in a dogfight, you've got to kind of be on top of him and control the fight to get a few hits in a row, or else you're just going to have him recharge his situational awareness. You've really got to lock him in And as that happens to your wingmen, they're kind of like tell you, "Oh, he's all over me," and like this, so that you've kind of enough time to rescue your wingmen. And if you do nothing about it and they die, it's you were given fair warning. Here come the wingmen now in a sec. So we have to get the orders, order them to cover you, and they'll use proper movement physics to form up on you, flying formation. If you turn around rapidly, they're going to use their thrusters to get back in position. You don't collide with other ships, you only collide with bullets or with asteroids. So there's next part of the mission is a convoy wants to be escorted because they heard what happened to the other cargo ship. You're a private military company, so you're concerned with making a bit of money. You can blow up these asteroids. They've got a bit more health than in asteroids. The bigger ones have more health. Littler ones have less health. Tiny ones have even less health. So far it's working. Don't see any null reference errors in the console, and we're mostly done with the mission, so I think that building this version of the game, I didn't break anything. Possibly at the end, but it doesn't really matter at the end. Alt F4 the game if you want. Or whatever the shortcut is on Mac, actually, I don't know. And now we're gonna fight 3 fighters at once. Give different orders to the wingmen though, which most people playing the demo for the first time don't do, but this form up order means they'll join their fire to yours. If I tell them to engage at will, they'll break off. If I tell them to cover me, they'll cover me. They'll stay near me, but if anyone attacks me, they'll break off to defend me. And I got missiles. So the things that I was expecting might have gone wrong were like spawning the wrong type of an enemy now. Really liking our explosions. For flat sprites, it looks pretty alive when they die. It's a funny thing to say, but so I have to wear off their blue health before I can actually hit the hull. Four missiles left. I'm gonna send these guys home. I'm gonna fight these guys on my own. One-on-one. And then get my situational awareness back up a bit. See now the wingmen have RTB'd. So I got rid of his situational awareness, but he dodged and I didn't really follow up, so I haven't done him any damage. Now he's back up on full health. There we go. Gotta hit him a few times in a row. And there's a chance they'll retreat if they're damaged. And it can be quite difficult to catch them, but obviously I'm a bit more used to it. And that's the end of the level. Okay, I don't think quit will work. No, just yeah, quit loads scene 0, which is now the same scene. Okay, if I... So now I'm going to show Unity Cloud Build. The way that works is I'm not going to show setting it up. Easy enough. You have your Unity account, you go to services, window, services. So when you're logged into Unity, you'll have this services tab, and you can do these things. Analytics is quite useful. Cloud build, set it up. And it can automatically build. The only setup you have to do is connect it to your source repository, like Git or something else, or Unity Collab. Unity's own specific version of version control. All right. Admit that. So what Cloud Build does, I think it automatically does it, but you can set it not to, or else it might change the default, but I'm pretty sure they're automatically making a build every time you did a commit, but you can tell it not to. So I've told it not to because I don't want new builds every time. But you can manage your build targets, add new platforms, Mac, desktop, universal, pulls from the master branch. I don't have other branches. Latest version, sure. Auto build is disabled. What's it? Enabled. I don't know. I don't know. I don't see why we need both those buttons. I'm sure there's a reason. Yeah, I don't want to make any changes though. So if I start a cloud build, I don't want to build all targets, just the Mac one. So in about, depends how big your project is, depends how busy their servers are. But if you're on the free version of Unity and you've got an indie game, something like this, it'll be done in half an hour or 40 minutes. If you're on Unity Pro, you've priority in the queue, done a bit faster. Unity Plus, somewhere in between. So I've found that the only way to do a Mac build from my PC successfully is through Cloud Build. I can't do it here. By doing that, it just doesn't work. It produces files and it says it's okay, but I've never been able to find a Mac user who could use what I gave them. Need go back to the scenes we were using earlier. Empty scene, space. Yeah, that's everything. Go back. I'm gonna unmute the audio because I don't actually want it muted long term. Save that scene and just, now we're done with it. Game. I think new game might be the time to create all our pilots and stuff. Actually, it didn't go to a loading screen, so that's as well. Make clicking new game bring you to a loading screen. During that loading screen, it's gonna create all the pilots and stuff. just like a first group of them. And then when you get here, it already has them. I was sort of thinking of generating them in this scene if there weren't enough of them, but no, it makes more sense that you create the pool of them when the campaign starts, and then as they die off, you can bring in new ones. You hire more people. Yeah, so I think the place we want to actually create new pilots is probably just off this button. Possibly, not sure if it would need to finish creating them before it loaded into the loading screen. So maybe just create a game object in here, tell it not to destroy on load, and then tell it once the next scene is loaded, do your job and allow it to be destroyed on scene load. No, you can't actually do that. You should just destroy it on scene load yourself instead of set it to be re-enabled. But you can tell it not to destroy objects on load, but you can't tell it to destroy objects on load. Actually, a shortcut on that would be create a game object in this scene. If you click the new game, just tell it create this game object, and it'll have a script on it that will create new characters. It won't happen if you click continue, only if you click new game. This won't destroy on load, so it will come into the loadings. It'll be here. So I wanted to start doing its job here because it's string heavy. It'll take a couple of seconds probably. Let it do that in this loading scene. Seems like a good place for it. Then I don't want to carry it into the next scene, so what I could do is just parent it to like the camera in this scene. So even though it's don't destroy on load, this camera is going to get destroyed on load, and so will all its children, no matter how they're marked. But do it, and then we're here in the home base, and we have all our pilots. Probably how we'll handle that. Hello viewers on YouTube today. I know that one of them is me because I've got watch me work in one of the windows. Here is probably Claire. Hi Claire. Yeah, doesn't make sense. I looked at the number 2. There are 2 people watching on YouTube. One of them's me. Never many people watching on Monday because it's the States. It's kind of early on a Monday in Ireland, so the States haven't woke up, and they're by far the biggest YouTube group for English-speaking stuff anyway. Right, so what do we do now? Finish up the cloud build thing I was saying. So it's building right now, or in a few minutes, on the Unity server somewhere, and it'll get done if you don't know. And you'll get an email saying, here it is. And there's loads of links in the email, but don't share any of those links because they won't work. They might work with team members if they're signed in to your team and whatever on the same project, but you need to sort of go to your dashboard and click on a share button on the build and then get a share link for the public and then share that with people. Well, I will share that with Zhao after the stream. Zhao made the music that you can hear in the trailer at the moment. Steve and Zhao work together on it. But I usually Steve joined the team. I started the team with, well, no, I started by myself, but Fred and Steve joined the team. Zhao works with Steve, and I sort of didn't realize I was getting another person. You know what I mean? When I got Steve as a contractor to work on the game, like he's not an employee. Indies are always contracting for each other, rarely employees, like in a employer-employee relationship kind of way. So I didn't realize I was kind of getting 2 people. But Zhao is cool. He makes some great music. Great guitar player. I'm a guitar player myself. I appreciate that. So, aspect of this will we go on? We have another hour and 10 minutes. Good amount of time. There were no problems with that demo, so we've played through the demo once. For any people who pick up the stream today or this week from Square Enix, you can see a bit of demo playthrough. I doubt many of them will watch it. When you see a 2-hour video, you're like, nope. Maybe someone will. Hopefully they'll just play the demo themselves and have to listen. Everything tabbed in we've done to a degree, and everything not tabbed in we still have to do. Will I tackle the pilots knowing that I could go wrong again for the second time in a row, or will... Mac cloud build up there. That's all I need. Now there's one person watching and it's me. So I guess I have no one to ask what they want to see today. Thursday is usually a couple of people live and early on Monday. I might have to change the Monday streaming time to be Tuesday, but then Tuesday and Thursday are very close to each other. Kind of harder to go. Like I'll then have a 5-day gap between streams, which is harder to think of. At the moment it's kind of 3.5 days between both streams, which is kind of ideal. But I don't want to stream on a Friday night, that sucks. But I can't, Monday is not going to be the best time going forward, I think, so. But I don't want to have to stream at the weekend either, so it kind of just leaves Tuesday and Friday. If I want to space them out as far as possible. But I don't want to do Friday evening, so I have to do Friday morning. So it's really only going to be, if I did Tuesday evening, it's going to be 2.5 days only. If I did Tuesday morning and Friday morning, it's going to be 3. I don't know. Not your problem yet. Not my problem yet either, but I'm thinking of future streaming times. Okay. Grade 11 pilots. This is also, it says active pilots. It's also going to be, the enemies are procedural, so you can save a name and an appearance and character traits for your enemies as well. Just pilots, but we'll start with pilots. Basically, the system we build for pilots will help when we want to build nemesis. What's the mission? We're half doing this. I haven't tabbed it in, but we're half already doing save the day, the pilots. Well, we're not doing the pilots. We're saving the day, not save. But we can launch a mission. We don't save the scenario. We just kind of launch into it. Yeah, we have worked on, have multiple stages of a mission. No, we haven't had that either. We need a mission save system within the mission. And yeah, for that we'll need to have things worth saving, like your kills, your progression, and save the results of them. So a lot of this stuff is going to be to do with saving just a mission. So I guess we'll try save some pilots right now. Yeah. Okay, hopefully we can do it. Like without getting things wrong. We just did a commit, so the project is safe from being screwed up. Alright. That's end. Okay. Those buttons do at the moment. New game. new object specifically for it. Hard to, when you have an important script all the way down the bottom of a random game object. Not great. Alright, so in here, there's the new game function. This is what's called. The new game is going to have to be different from continue game. So let's make a continue game. And this is actually the first time I'm going to have to get used to the way Visual Studio is going to toss the cursor around and, you know, demand that brackets are here or there, or autocomplete them. Right, so this script is also on the self-playing scene, which has been, if you download the demo at the moment, I just did that. The main menu won't be this. It'll be a living scene where all the AI are fighting each other, and you can still click new game and stuff. Extract methods in the same way as you can in Mono. Okay, that looks right. Oh, yes. Now I can name it. Could be. So continue game is going to launch game, and new game is going to launch game. Actually, but in between them. But it's the new game that's also going to have to generate pilots. No, that's a scene. That's okay. Actually, it automatically named it private, which I don't tend to do. Leave the word private out of it. Not needed. But okay. Actually, instead of create, I'm going to, that was muscular memory. I'm going to say muscular memory for mono. Sorry. Generate. I'm going to use the word generate instead of create because this is procedural generation stuff. Under new game, then I'm going to have to do. It's not entirely what I want to do either. You can include comments when you refactor. It's handy. Tells you how many files. People are always praising Visual Studio. The last time I used it a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have praised it. I thought Mono was fine. But I'm starting to like it. So I'm actually not generating the info here. I forgot I'm going to generate the game object that will generate the info in the next scene, in the loading scene. I call it just rep game generation. game object, I guess. Game prep game generation game object. Who else is going to read this code? Oh, it's you guys. And there's no viewers right now, so I feel like I'm talking about who else is going to read this code. I do know people watch it. Viewers are all dozen to 20, 40 is something like the highest, maybe, on the game dev streams. So that's not great, but it's worth doing enough. What happens here in new game, launch game? Actually, I'm not going to go scene manager load. Now going to be that script I showed you a short time ago. Any of those. What was it called? Loading screen manager. That's why it's not coming up, because the word save isn't in. Screen manager dot loads. This is how it's meant to work if you do go download the code again, actually, just in case you wanted it. May forget to put it in the description. If you do download, it won't be like I wrote it. So Martin near Rurkar. Loading screen manager. It's a tutorial on YouTube. Now this load scene I've changed a bit. For one thing, it uses scene integers. I've changed that to be strings, but I've also changed how the basically you load scene and it always loads the loading screen. All you have to do is call the load scene and tell it what level you're going to. In the default version, it's you give it a number, the integer for the build level, but since they changed a lot, I prefer to give it the string, which can also change a lot, but whatever. Change to less. So the way I rewrote it, I'm going to have to change the loading scene name in here. So wait, no, it's going to load the loading screen and then yeah, no, so I did at one stage I had to do two different things with this, but I've got it correct. Find references. Yeah, so I did refactor it back the way it ought to be. So I don't have to do two things. I can just go loading screen manager.load. I would have had to change the string as well before calling that at one stage, but I fixed it. So instant object equals, can I just say new game object, can't I? To that, I could make a new script to add to that, or I could Save all. One thing that's less handy than mono is if you have saved all, save all is grayed out in mono. So it's a quick way of checking if you've made changes to other scripts that you haven't saved, and then you're wondering why things didn't work. Anyway. The continue button, right? Let's say both of them in manager. Only that one new game, but it's kind of so now those buttons are kind of set up, but I'll just have to change in the code what they do. We should be able to get into and straight through to here. Here. I'm starting to think 3 seconds might even be too long. If we're going to do a lot of it, I might just, set it back to 3 seconds in the final build or something. But for the amount of testing we're going to have to do, I'd disable it for a while. I went to the home base, and we have campaign save and load. I could. So this is a singleton basically. If I do put this in the root game or the main menu and come through to here, it won't load the new one. Or it'll try loading this one and just delete it straight away. So we still won't have two, and that's fine. Nothing else it does, like find. Yeah, no, it's fine, because it doesn't go awake and try to find references to things that are only in this scene that wouldn't be in the other scene. So I think I'm just going to add this exact script to the, not fake, but the generated game object from the main menu. Change the name of it. Underscore campaign save and load. Add a component. Oh yeah, cam save and load, not campaign save and load. Once that's added, I think it'll take care of itself. It subscribes to save campaign info on the first load. Oh, sorry. On every load, it'll save campaign info. I guess I could use that same function. Definition? Yeah. Okay. Oh, it was right there. Sorry. I didn't even look and realize it was one line down. Idea bulb. How would I change signature? Thanks, but no thanks. Okay. So this is only going to happen the time that we generate a new campaign. So most players only once, but it's totally important, and it'll happen us tons of times during development. could put in a check, since it's going to call save campaign info every time a scene's loaded. It'll return if it's a scene we're not meant to do it in, but so like in the loading screen, it won't save the scene, but if you're loading from a mission or from the home base, it will save. So I could say that if this is the very first time you've done it, there won't be a save. So I could first check for the save. And I'm thinking by loading the save and checking what's in it, probably an easier way to set a bool, basically. Yeah, I'm just gonna set a public bool for is new game. Gonna hide it in the inspector. Don't need to see it. So when we're doing our save campaign info, if is new game, do some stuff, but don't do the rest of this. Or maybe we do want to do the rest. Actually, no, it won't save. Let's make this an else if, and then it won't do any of the other things. It will save. Unless I return in here, it'll save. So it could generate all the info and save it. That's fine. So here's where I'll create a new campaign. Down the bottom. Let's comment in some of the things we'll need to do. Create pilots and other NPCs. That's kind of the first thing we want to do. Today. Random bonuses, maybe. I don't even know if there are random bonuses, but just set things like resources based on the difficulty mode we've come in with, maybe. Oh, set Iron Man mode is what I mean. Just for now. Generating new thing. No, I haven't actually called that, I've only created it. Create new. That one's safe. Another thing is if you, in Visual Studio, if you add a space, it'll add an this is saved. If I add a space, it'll add an asterisk that it's unsaved, and if I delete that space, it's still not. It hasn't undone the save. Mono Develop would have done that. Something. It's not all pros. Not people that give Visual Studio too much praise and want to develop too hard a time. So I'm just putting things in the cons column. So it's the script we are adding to it. Is new game true? Don't destroy unload. So this will, we are calling this, right? So when we click new game, it'll prepare one, it'll set don't destroy unload, it'll generate into the loading screen where it will then detect that it is a new game. Sorry. Here. It'll detect that it's a new game, it'll generate a new campaign and save it. Now, I could here destroy the game object then. In which case the home base, this one, this version of it that I haven't created that's actually saved to this scene, this one will come in and take over and load the scene that was literally just saved. So we're saving and loading. Or actually, this is the script that loads, isn't it? The home base manager, which will be here anyway. Peak definition. Oh, that's kind of handy. Don't go there, but just peek at it. I like that. So it can parse. Get that? A peek within a peek. Yeah, so it'll print something when it's loading, so I'll know. Okay, so because the home base manager is the thing that calls load campaign info, it's gonna get loaded anyway, whether I destroy this new game object or not. So in that case, there's no need to destroy it. Actually, just test now. But continue. Didn't get any generating new campaign stuff. I just used the art that I had for that, by the way. And then parsing saved character data means it has loaded. I run day 13. Actually, one of the things I can do is set the day. Hold on, I'm not saving right now. I'm gonna say set the day to day 1 or day 0. Whatever, one of those. And we say day 1? Or we say days since game start. Like there's a big attack at the start of the game, so it's gonna be days since catastrophe or earth-shattering event. Well, it's not Earth, but so days since would make sense to say 0. Like if on the very first day, it's gonna be the day of. Anyway, let's now test generating. Won't go full screen, so we should hopefully see the thing in the loading scene. There. Oh, the main menu manager persisted. Oh, I'm doing it to the thing, am I? Main menu manager not destroying. Ah, right. So in fact, I don't need to don't destroy unload because it already doesn't destroy unload. There it is. So when I created it didn't destroy. So I was just, not only did I not need to do it, but I was also don't destroying unload the wrong thing. I didn't say that sentence correctly. Creating new campaign, great. Now it didn't do anything, but I know that the new game button will lead there. Then there's 2 campaigns, save and load scripts, destroying 1. Then again, saving procedure. Okay, so this I actually don't need. Right, so I had said over the weekend, I actually set it up that if there wasn't enough save info, that if there were less than 100 characters in the save info, is a little imprecise, then generate. So that is quite imprecise, and now it's not needed. Here. Control Shift. That's the same as mono actually. I should have just tried it and realized it worked. Continue will just probably tell me it's parsing. Have our campaign save and load script, but it's from this scene. And a new game will tell me more than parsing. Reading 2 of them, destroying 1, and parsing. Okay, so bit warm in here. Put the heat on because even though it's summertime, it's just raining. And the weather is raining. Squirrel. I see a squirrel. I can't. Probably wouldn't even make it out, but the wire's not long enough to turn the webcam out and the squirrel. If I had a teacher, they would now say, stop looking out the window at the squirrel, pay attention to the blackboard. Or probably nowadays a whiteboard. I haven't seen a blackboard in a while. I haven't been to school in a while either, but any of the schools I have been in for like night classes or whatever, and whiteboards now. Or digital whiteboards, if they're new and private. Or universities. Anyway, so this is where we're going to generate the campaign. So, campaign save and load. That's the home base manager is kind of done now. Its part is done. Pretty easy. The hard part is going to be generating all the campaign info. So, notice we still even haven't really started this, generating the pilots. So, fantastic. The okay. Remember I said I was doing prep work over the weekend about getting this done. So I added the avatar to this scene because it has a character script, and the character script can generate character appearances and it can save them. That's kind of what we want to do a dozen times. but we're not actually gonna save it in this scene now. This scene will still need an avatar though. So I won't take it out of here, but save and load. Gonna need. I just closed it. We're gonna need the home base manager. Or sorry, the main menu manager. No, wrong main. That's the old main menu. I'm gonna need a prefab for the avatar. I will attach it. I do this in a single line. Instantiate prefab. It's sort of Visual Studio is pre-selecting the classes rather than the. I think Mono selected the variables before it would select the class usually. Get used to that. Instantiate that prefab. Where? Oh, okay. The parent is going to be the persistent game, the persistent object dot transform. That should be enough, I think. So then when we are create the pilots and stuff be in here. Character. Going to be get component in children at this stage. Character. That's the name of the script on the avatar, if you're wondering. That do some things. Then destroy the character script game object. So we won't wind up with two avatars in the home base. I didn't assign the prefab. Avatar, new format. What character? Oh, right, they named the old prefabs folder. Right, yeah, there it is. I knew that. Just wondering why it was marked old, but it's because it's in the old prefabs folder that I was looking. New game. I think it's already happened. Maybe it... Okay, I won't destroy it. Let me just make sure it exists before I destroy it. So it's the avatar that's going to help us create... It can easily create one new pilot appearance. We are going to need to save it. Right, so it doesn't have child. Thing. So just for the moment, don't launch the game. Make sure it creates it and puts it on the right parent. Right, so it created it, but it didn't put it on the parent. So there's your problem right there, but why not? Tried to make things simple, but I don't think it's gonna let me. Avatar, transform, set parent. The persistent object dot transform. That should be the exact same thing. See if it produces different results. No, it didn't. Drag it on. I wonder, is it because this was only just created and I'd have to wait a frame, but I believe so. Have to do it that way. Don't destroy, unload avatar. We will launch the game. You should get all the way to the home base and suddenly have two avatars. One will be marked clone. The avatar clone. No, there's no reference, but we have our clone. We have the campaign save and load, and we have the normal avatar. What was the problem? Alright, so yeah, get component in children won't work any now. Won't work now. Find object of type character. So now we should get to the home base and not have the avatar clone. You can see the few things that didn't work that assumed worked. I'm now testing everything. It's gone. Have the other avatar. Did I destroy the other avatar? There. Let's try that again. I think I got in and I had neither avatar. Already destroyed. It's not here. Why would that be the case? Oh, you know what I am gonna have to do? And I think generating new campaign twice. It did, that's why. I had them collapsed and I didn't realize it did it twice. Because I didn't set new game to false. So when we got into the home base scene, it ran this again, found the other character, and deleted the other character. New game equals false. And it'll never be true again. Just to confirm. Yeah, generate new campaign, 2 of them, save the character data. Here is an avatar. You know, what we don't have though is now the campaign save and load manager. Have some problems. Actually, no problems other than it just didn't save. It still works, but that time, why did we not have? Did it awake twice? It only have happened once, so we. God. Reading the new campaign. Oh wait, we did have it. Sorry. I thought we didn't have it. It's because I still had avatar in the search field. We do still have campaign save and load. Can go in, launch, and it won't do anything when it launch, but when I quit it again, it'll parse save data. Because it's still alive. Parsing save data. Okay, right. So we're actually correct now on the method of doing things. What we need to do is, won't be today, I'd say at this stage. Basically, I did enough prep work to know what prep work I needed to do. That character itself within the loading scene, which is the perfect time to do it, is going to generate the campaign. Generate the campaign info. It can generate a name, it can generate the appearance, generate random new appearance, and characteristics based on what gender it is, as in female name, male name. Certain things like males don't have facial hair. Controversial as that decision might be. Females can choose from different sets of hair than the males can. Actually, they have different sets of absolutely everything. The eyes are different, the mouths are different. Yeah, they're stylized, so it's not two entirely different arrays of sprites. Totally different assets. It's got the same skin colors and the same last names and the same call sign. Although they also have different call signs. There's some specific call signs that would be wrong for men and wrong for women. So, farm boy, for example. there's anyone in the chat who wants their name added to the game, shout out. Male names, female names only. Call signs, it'll work for everyone. Bam Bam, Big Sky, Avalanche, Echo, Ice, Nomad. Call signs are for male only. Papa, Nestor, he was a viewer. Why we added him to male only. Farm Boy, Priest, Priestess, Mama, Farm Girl. Haven't gone too far. Thinking of gender specific ones. Not really that important. The fact that there are some, the fact that you don't, the fact that there's a list of ones that won't apply if you're a man, apply for your female character. That's enough, as long because there will never be a situation where you're like, that call sign does not suit my character. You can set them yourself for one thing, but basically that shouldn't generate the wrong one either. So it'll generate, and then we just need to save. As it goes, it changes or saves a seed for the appearance, adds 0 for the gender, and then each new thing it'll add a new letter to the seed, clothes, hair, and then you wind up with something about 20 characters long, all numbers separated by commas, and it represents the appearance. And we'll save your cam, not camera. Not somewhere else. On top of the appearance, we'll have to save the other stuff like their XP and whether they're alive or dead and how many missions they've flown and their kills. But we will do that. I guess we'll do that next time. I've no need to do it before Thursday, so I guess we can do it on Thursday. Now let me finish up. 20 minutes left, but I'm not going to start that. So it seems as good a place to leave the character generation stuff for the moment and just go back to the cloud build. Link to the dashboard, yes. See if that build is done. Yeah, it was finished an hour ago. It took 14 minutes to do. Actually, yeah, most of the builds. Yeah, so before I went pro, or went to Unity Plus, before that, the cloud builds are taking an hour. After that, they're taking... Oh, actually, no, 2 months ago I wasn't on it. So 2 months ago, it was only taking 11 minutes, 14 minutes, 12 minutes. I think it just got better. Or maybe I built it at a time when the servers weren't busy. Logging into the dashboard in the other window. Cloud build. So here are our Mac builds. And I will have an email. I'm not going to show you my emails. But I will have an email there that says it was finished, and there'll be loads of links in it, including a link to come to the dashboard. None of the links in it are going to be this link, and this is what you need. There should be a real big button or something. The link you need is share. Makes sense, but you know, should be bigger. Then this specific link will work for anyone. And you know, feel free to copy that down if you can pause the video and read that. I'm not sharing Mac builds because I don't stand by them, and it didn't feature the... It was only the level scene. It didn't have the main menu, it didn't have polish, it didn't have any music in it. This is a build for the team. The public build for PC is available on sonsofsaul.com or retroneogames.com, and go through the steps, get to Sons of Saul. But yeah, But you can also revoke the links. Okay, so if any of you abuse it in some way, I can revoke the link, although it'll already be out there if you take it down and abuse. I don't know how you would abuse it. Say it badly. Stupid thing to be saying. So cloud build worked very quickly. That's how you get the share link. I will share that with the team, and then team's happy. Next day we will create the characters. We'll save the pilots. Actually, I will probably go at that a bit just before I know what I'm doing. I've never saved campaign info to them. I've only saved their appearance. I haven't bothered saving their kills or stuff like that. So probably work on it a little myself, just to make sure I don't hop into it and get nothing done on it. I would like to hop in and just be like, and now it works. Great. Here's one I made earlier. Yeah, in fact, that would mean we can go on to mission saving. Like creating missions and saying this many reinforcements show up after this much time. So yeah, it's all sorts of stuff we can do. We're building a game. It'll take a while. Okay, so we're on Square Enix Collective, Sons of Saul, Square Enix Collective. Google that. Vote for us, please. You'll have to make a quick login to the Square Enix website if you don't have one, and if you do, chances are you've forgotten your password, because I don't know what anyone would use it for other than forums, maybe. I don't think you need to log into like Hitman, or maybe you have to log into like Tomb Raider or something. Might have created one to log into Tomb Raider. I don't know. Anyway, do that. Vote. That would be great. And I will see you Thursday night. Also shares, and particularly if you comment on the Square Enix Collective, that would be helpful. Like if you have actual feedback on it, that'd be great. If you have just encouraging words, that would also help convince Square Enix Collective that we are a game that people like. It's a good thing. So, see you Thursday at 8 p.m. Irish time if you're coming back to watch live. Otherwise, enjoy the next video in the playlist. Bye for now.